My name is Patrick Kennedy. I'm a person in long-term recovery, which means for me, I have not used drugs or alcohol since February 22nd, 2011. I also served in the United States Congress for 16 years, where I waged a national battle to end discrimination against mental illness and addiction through my sponsorship of the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act, which said nothing more radical than the brain is part of the body and we ought to treat chronic illnesses of the brain like anxiety and depression and addiction no differently than we would diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or anything else. So when I first got in recovery, I would have loved to have had a Circles Up to supplement all the other things that I was doing in my recovery, because it's those moments in between therapy that sometimes you need to have connection. Now with modern technology, the ability to go on an app and to click and to be plugged right into a group of folks that are dealing with a similar situation, that is invaluable. I wish I had that when I was getting started in recovery. Circles Up gives you an opportunity to bring therapy right to wherever you are. That is a powerful supplement to whatever help that you might want to get when you're early in recovery. And frankly, because these are chronic illnesses, you always need to be plugged in. And the beautiful thing about Circles Up is it's always there, 24/7. Stigma is often self-imposed. It's that feeling of shame that if we share what's really going on with us, we will be rejected. So in a sense, having ability to connect real time with people that are also able to identify with what we're going through unburdens us from the feeling that we're handling this all by ourselves, that we're alone in the world and that we're isolated. So really having an app like Circles Up allows us to plug in to a group we already know is not going to judge us, because frankly they're there for the same reasons we're there, and that is to get help. And the real miracle in life is being able to ask for help, because once you're able to do that, you're 90% of the way there. And the only way we're going to get relief is if we are plugged into a community of others who share their own stories, and in the course of all that, give us hope that if they can do it, or if they've been through something we've been through, and this is how they dealt with it, that we have now tools that we may not have realized that we can deploy to help our own situation resolve itself by the way we think about it and by the way we act to change our thinking, so that there are specific steps that we can be given by our fellows, knowing what worked for them, that may also be able to work for us. Essentially, we're all sharing the same story with different details, but we don't know that until we're sharing with our fellows who also have their individual stories. A real challenge we have today in therapy is that people don't often find a group that fits with their particular set of issues. The circles really give you an opportunity to plug into people who've had a similar maybe background. If you suffer from sexual trauma, you may not want a circle that includes men. You may want a guided therapist who is a woman. If you're a person of color and you're traumatized by systemic racism, maybe you want a therapist of color. If you're someone who's from the LGBTQ community, and of course there's lots of discrimination against gay people, then maybe you want a therapy session where you have people who are experiencing that same set of challenges so that you don't feel as alone. And all of us have our own individual set of needs, but the beauty is a lot of those needs can initially be benefited from having a curated group of circles that allow you to plug right in and get the help that works for you. And the beauty of the 24/7 and the multitude of different circles is that you can continue to plug in till you find the group that's right for you. Well, you know, it's so important that we don't get stuck doing counterproductive therapy. And if you have a therapist that is professionally trained to understand how to guide us such that we're not using the same old thinking in order to solve new problems, because that same old thinking got us into the situation we're in today, then therapy cannot just be an opportunity to share and get a sense of fellowship and community with others, which relieves the tension in our lives, but it can actually be productive, and a therapist can help guide us to do that different thing that will get us different results. We're in a moment now where the need is so great. The need amongst people is often so acute, which means that getting access to therapists can be very difficult. So Circles Up really mitigates that difficulty, getting access to care, because through group therapy that is guided by a therapist, you don't have to wait a month to get seen. People often reject therapy because their initial experiences are negative and they don't see improvement. The benefit of Circles is you can try different therapies. You can connect, frankly, in an easy way that's accessible so that you're not burned out trying logistically to find a perfect therapist, to get to a perfect group, to do that all in a time frame that fits your chaotic life with a busy schedule. 24/7 availability through Circles Up changes the whole paradigm of mental health delivery.